I could barely sleep. The darkness of the night still seemed to whisper secrets that refused to be forgotten. As the first light of dawn touched the rooftops of Xianyang with a cold and distant glow, I found myself walking through the labyrinthine corridors of the palace, feeling each step as if it echoed in a chamber of conspiracies. The message, "Every move has a price. Are you prepared to pay yours?" still reverberated in my mind, heightening my unease. Today, I sensed that something new was about to be revealed. A new facet of power, hidden in the shadows, was about to emerge, one that could be either the salvation or the ruin of this empire. I knew the game was changing, and that I, Zhao Wei, would be at the center of this transformation, paying the price for every move made. In the morning, in my dimly lit chamber, surrounded by ancient maps, scrolls, and cryptic records, I let my thoughts flow as I recalled the sacrifices of the past. The memory of Lady Hua, with her soft yet firm voice, still resonated in my mind. Even in the darkest darkness, light reveals itself to those brave enough to seek it. Those words, once a comfort in my painful childhood, now served as a guide for the complex dance of alliances and betrayals I was orchestrating. As I examined a new collection of recently intercepted documents, I noticed something we hadn't seen before. An enigmatic signature, as if marked by a quill dipped in black ink, appeared on each report from the so-called Whispers of Darkness. This faction, previously only mentioned in whispers, seemed to be organizing with near military precision, making plans that went beyond the familiar schemes. My heart tightened as I imagined what this new hidden force could mean. Were they potential allies, or enemies planning to usurp power in an irreversible way? Amidst these reflections, I received a coded message from Master Zhu that read, "Darkness hides both truth and lies, but only the watchful eye will reveal what is concealed. Be ready for the unexpected." These words pushed me into action. I knew I needed answers. I then invited my ally, Li Mei, to a meeting that promised to change the course of our plans. In the hidden courtyard of the palace, beneath the shade of ancient trees whose leaves seemed to whisper secrets from the past, Li Mei was already waiting for me. The atmosphere was heavy, the damp morning air mingled with the scent of jasmine, creating a contrast between beauty and danger. I sat beside her, and without hesitation, I spoke. "Li Mei, there's something new in our reports. These whispers of darkness aren't just vague rumors. Each message carries a signature we've never seen before, as if someone is marking their territory. I want to find out who's behind this and what their true intentions are." She tilted her head, her eyes narrowing as she carefully considered my words. "Zhao Wei," she replied with the sharp calmness we had always admired in her strategy, "when power hides in the shadows, every whisper comes at a price. This faction may represent a new element of change, or the harbinger of an even greater betrayal. But if we can uncover their motives, perhaps we can turn them to our advantage." I agreed, feeling the adrenaline mix with a hint of fear. The empire was reshaping before my eyes, and every new piece of information reminded me that to reach the throne, I would have to not only sow doubts but also exploit the uncertainties. We decided that the next step would be to send messengers to contact our discreet connections among the ministers. Among them, Lord Liang, whose loyalty had always been ambiguous, could hold the key to unraveling the mystery.
Quick tip to level up your experience. Read Manhwas and light novels for free. Listen to epic audiobooks. Watch unlimited anime. Play cloud games with no console. And stream the best anime soundtracks. Check the description now and grab your free trials.
In the days that followed, each meeting, each discreet encounter, contributed to piecing together a puzzle that seemed increasingly intricate. In one of the palace's lesser frequented halls, I found myself face to face with Lord Liang again. The room was cold, with stone walls that echoed the conversations of the past. He looked at me with a mix of caution and resignation, and soon began unraveling the contours of a new conspiracy. "Prince Zhao Wei," he said, his voice rough, "I've heard reports that the Whispers of Darkness are not an isolated group. Some ministers claim they are in contact with influential merchants in the city, and even with officers who have never shown unwavering loyalty to Zhao Jian. They say there's a meeting scheduled at an abandoned temple on the outskirts of Xianyang, where they will discuss the terms of a new order." I felt my stomach tighten, but I kept my composure. "Lord Liang," I replied firmly, "every word you say is like another piece on this board. We need to meet these whispers, uncover their true intentions, and, if possible, forge an alliance, or at least neutralize any threat they may pose. As the meeting with Liang came to an end, I received another coded message, this time on a sealed scroll delivered by a furtive-looking messenger. The message read simply, "In the Temple of Twilight, where time unravels, the truth will be revealed to those who dare to listen to the whispers of fate." Those words resonated within me, carrying both a sense of invitation and warning. I knew it was time to act. I invited Li Mei for an urgent meeting at that very abandoned temple. That night, the temple was immersed in a surreal atmosphere. The walls, covered in moss and ancient inscriptions, created a setting that blended the mystical with the shadowy. By my side, Li Mei appeared dressed inconspicuously, her eyes shining with anticipation. "Li Mei," I began, my voice low and controlled as we walked through the damp corridors of the temple, "the whispers of darkness meet here. We need to uncover who is behind this name and the purpose of their gatherings. If we can unravel this mystery, we'll gain a new advantage over our enemies." She gave a slight smile, but her gaze revealed determination. "I've always believed that secrets are the key to power, Zhao Wei. Let's then, cautiously, infiltrate this meeting. If we're discreet, we can gather the information we need without alerting our adversaries." Before we could plan the details, we were approached by a hooded man. His presence was as unexpected as it was threatening. "Prince," he whispered in a hoarse voice, "the meeting will take place inside one of the inner chambers of this temple. The whispers of darkness will be gathered to discuss their next moves. If you wish to hear what they plan, you must be prepared to risk everything." A chill ran down my spine. The man's words revealed that this faction was more organized and determined than we had imagined. I decided to send a messenger to record everything, but I also prepared myself to intervene personally, if necessary. "I understand," I replied calmly. "I will inform my alliance and send a trusted spy. But if the truth proves to be too much, we will intervene ourselves." The hooded figure nodded and disappeared into the darkness of the temple, leaving me with the unsettling feeling that fate was intertwining in ways I could not predict. That night, with the full moon faintly illuminating the temple, the meeting of the Whispers of Darkness finally began. I decided it would be wise to have my spy, Kale Ren, record every word and gesture, but I would prepare myself to intervene should chaos ensue. As I hid behind a stone column, I watched carefully as the hooded figures gathered in a circle. Their voices, low and calculating, formed a chorus of conspiracy. I overheard fragments of dialogue that sent a chill down my spine. References to a new reordering of the empire, the fall of the old rulers, and the promise of a throne forged in shadows. Amidst those words, a figure, clearly in a position of leadership, spoke with authority. "The darkness, my brothers, is not merely the absence of light, but a power that transforms. Today, we will leave behind the chains of the past and embrace a new era, where truth will be shaped by the control of secrets." I felt the weight of that revelation. These whispers were not mere agents of chaos. They had a vision, however dark, for the future of the empire. Suddenly, a commotion arose as one of the members of the circle began to question the authenticity of the documents that would prove their intentions. The debate, initially subtle, quickly escalated into a heated confrontation. "How can we trust that our actions won't be turned against us?" one of the conspirators shouted, his voice echoing through the chamber. The tension reached its peak. I felt that this was the moment when destiny would be irrevocably revealed. I knew that if I didn't act, the entire power structure I had been meticulously building could be destroyed by those who dared to challenge the status quo. Without hesitation, I stepped forward, revealing my presence with a determination that made the silence grow deeper. "I am here to listen and to act," I declared, my voice firm and laden with authority. "But know this, if you attempt to manipulate the destinies of this empire for your own gain, the truth will come to light, and no secret will remain buried." The chamber froze. The eyes of every conspirator turned to me, and for a brief moment, time seemed to stop. I realized that, in that instant, my existence was no longer just that of a marginalized prince, but that of an agent controlling the flow of history. The leader of the Whispers, with a look of intrigued surprise, replied, "You dare interrupt our whispers? If you truly are the son who dares to walk in the shadows, then prove your loyalty to the new order." I maintained my composure, knowing that every word I spoke could seal my fate. "My loyalty lies with the truth and the empire," I responded, my voice restrained yet filled with challenge. And the truth cannot be manipulated by those who hide behind masks. Today, I demand that you reveal your intentions, so that we may decide together which path to follow. A tense silence settled as the conspirators exchanged glances. Finally, the leader lowered his hood, revealing a face marked by determination. Then, with a soft and enigmatic voice, he said, "Then let it be so. If you wish to know the truth, follow us to the central chamber. There, the secrets will be unveiled." I knew that this was the opportunity to uncover the details of the Whispers of Darkness plan. With a brief nod, I signaled my readiness and prepared to follow the leader, fully aware that the next step could redefine the destiny of this empire. Back in my chambers, what I had witnessed in the temple still pulsed in my mind. The revelation of the Whispers of Darkness had shown that the web of conspiracies was much deeper and more enigmatic than we had imagined. Each whisper, each secret, seemed to carry the promise of a new era, or of a definitive ruin. As I sat alone before a small fireplace, the flame flickered and cast dancing shadows on the stone walls. I reflected on what it truly meant to walk through the shadows. I, who had always been seen as the marginalized anti-hero, now emerged as the only one capable of turning uncertainties into tools of power. But at the same time, I felt the weight of every sacrifice I had already paid. Each movement, each alliance forged in the shadows, came with an undeniable cost. I remembered Master Zhu's words, "The truth, no matter how hidden, always finds its way." And now, the truth was unfolding in multiple layers, revealing not only the weaknesses of our enemies but also the most intimate secrets of those I considered allies. Li Mei had mentioned the possibility of uniting the discontented under a new banner, and I saw it as an opportunity to rewrite the Empire's destiny. However, trust was a rare currency, and amidst so many betrayals and uncertainties, every word had the potential to be a double-edged sword. With a heavy heart and a sharp mind, I joined one final conversation with one of my spies, a man named June, whose loyalty had always been unquestionable. In a secret room, lit only by the faint light of a candle, June shared with me the latest information he had gathered. "Prince Zhao Wei," he said with a grave and sincere voice, "the Whispers of Darkness are more active than we imagined. There are rumors that they plan not only to destabilize the current command but to establish a parallel regime, where power will be divided among those who control the secrets. Some even claim they intend to reveal information that could completely ruin the established order." I felt a wave of determination mix with unease. "June," I replied firmly, "we need to take advantage of this crack. If the Whispers are willing to reveal themselves, then we will use this exposure to our advantage. From now on, every word they whisper will be a piece on the board that brings us closer to the throne." June nodded, his eyes shining with the same determination I held. The conversation stretched on for hours, and every piece of information I received felt like a brick in the construction of a new empire. I knew the path would be long and fraught with challenges, but I also knew there was no room for hesitation. As the night wore on, I prepared for the next steps with the certainty that the empire was on the brink of an irreversible transformation. Every whisper in the shadows was now both an opportunity and a risk, but I was willing to walk this path of uncertainty, paying the price for every move, so that, in the end, truth and justice would be rewritten under my command. At dawn, as the first rays of sunlight painted the horizon in shades of orange and red, I felt a strange mix of relief and apprehension. I walked through the palace corridors, each step echoing the promise of a new beginning, but also the lament of sacrifices already made. In my thoughts, Lady Hua's words intertwined with the revelations of the night. Light reveals itself to those who dare to walk through the shadows. I, Zhao Wei, knew that the empire was reconfiguring itself, and that every decision, every whisper, would shape not only my fate, but the fate of all who lived under the yoke of a corrupt power. The meeting of the Whispers of Darkness had opened a new frontier, a frontier where truth and betrayal danced together in a dangerous ballet, and where the price of power would be paid with every breath. As I watched the city wake up, I felt that the future was filled with mysteries and challenges. The fine line between loyalty and betrayal, between light and shadows, was becoming increasingly blurred. I was ready to move forward, to face the risks, and to turn every secret into a weapon that would bring me closer to the throne. But I also knew that the path would be difficult, and with every new whisper, every new revelation, I would need to choose: pay the price or risk losing everything. And in this dilemma, My anti-hero soul found itself torn between the desire for justice and the crushing weight of the power I sought. With a heart filled with determination and a mind sharpened by the experience of the shadows, I extinguished the last candle in that room, plunging into the darkness that, for me, was only the prelude to a new dawn. The Empire watched me, and I, Zhao Wei, was ready to turn every whisper into a ladder leading to absolute power.
Did you enjoy the video? Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps us know which stories you love most and which ones we should prioritize in future productions. Your support is essential for us to keep bringing you the best manhwa content every day. See you in the next episode.